Professor Griff having this conversation about parenting. I became a parent, and my first child, who's now 30, Takia, all I ever wanted was a little girl. That's it. And maybe for some reason that y'all probably wouldn't even appreciate or understand, but my first nickname I gave my daughter was Kiki Chang. I know you're saying, well, why is that? I was heavily into martial arts, and all I wanted to do was teach my daughter martial arts. That's so bad, I'm getting kind of emotional. I might want to put my microphone on mute for a minute. Barbara, can you take this?
Well, I just wanted to say as far as what you were saying about, being militant and things like that. I want to be clear to the brothers and sisters that being raised in a righteous or good family does not protect you from racism and white supremacy. I've known brothers that grew up in good households, that had good parents, that still turned out or got turned out by the streets. My first boyfriend, Raymond Blackshirt, was very intelligent. I mean, he could have did anything. He could have been a model. He could have been a rapper. He could have been in the NBA. He was so intelligent. And he grew up with his father's, history looming over him because his father died when he was really young. His family, he had a good, quote-unquote, middle-class family, kept him out of trouble, kept him involved in all kind of social and sporting activities, and he still ended up taking the wrong route, and he still ended up getting killed. I believe he was 27, 26, something like that. But I've also seen other brothers and sisters that have come up that had good parents and, nurturing households, be it their parents or other family members, and still ended up going astray. So we have to understand that the system of racism, white supremacy, is always on guard and is always looking to take our people off course. And this is why you have brothers and sisters that are incarcerated that come from good families. You have young teenage females who end up being pregnant, who have parents that are scratching their heads like, I did everything a parent is supposed to do. So, this is just one more lesson just as far as that whole village, us taking our arms and wrapping them around our children, and especially for boys. That's why a lot of young men, were attracted to Khalid Muhammad, that whole militant aspect that you talked about. And boys need structure. We think we give them this pass, like, oh, he's young, he's a boy, let him do what he wants to do. But boys need structure. And in a society where our men have been, whether internally, externally, whether, actual or just something that's been ingrained in them, made to feel and believe that they are powerless when they know innately that they are rulers. So within your mind and within your heart that you're a ruler, but you have somebody else with their foot on your neck all the time. And I think that just the militant aspect of that, I can't speak for you personally, but I think that that's what a lot of our brothers are actually attracted to.
Right.
Are you back?
Well, yes, I am. Oh, you crazy. Well, men need to cry sometimes.
I'm just messing with you.
No, you're not. We need to get it out. Like I said in the lecture the other day, men need to dance. Men need to do a lot of things, and there's nothing wrong with crying. When I think of what I wanted to give my daughter, sometimes it brings you to tears. And that's very real. Revolutionaries cry. And if you find a revolutionary that don't, he's not a revolutionary. But this is not easy. People look at me and says, okay, well, he's fortunate. He probably has money. He probably lives well. And y'all don't know half the struggle of Professor Griff. Zaza is learning this. You understand what I'm saying? She hears some of the threats and sees some of the people. We'll talk about that later on. Anyway, black parenting. I want to ask a few questions and put some things out there, but just to sum up my story, 5 children later, 2 boys, 3 girls, and a granddaughter. I'm somebody's granddad. My granddaughter's viewing this whole thing of her granddad's life. She calls me black man. She don't call me black man for nothing. You understand what I'm saying? This is how she's doing this whole thing. When she first got introduced to who her grandfather was, I was doing martial arts, throwing kicks and punches, and she thought I was some superhero dude. So here I am. So I just want to let the brothers out there that, that our parenting and our fathers, that we're going to have trials and tribulations. All right. Everything in this world's life that we're living right now in America speaks to the genocidal nature of what these people have in mind in reference to black men. All right. And as we say every week, and we deal with the definition of racism and white supremacy, that genetic material that lies inside of you, brother, in the testicles of the black man can successfully destroy everyone on the planet. So they're coming after you. Don't think they're not, because they are. Everything in the society in which we live speaks to white people's existence, and it speaks against us. They'll even try to use women against brothers. So we need to be very, very careful on not only how we handle this subject, but how we handle women and how we handle their children, especially if they're not ours. All right? This is very real. So I want to give a shout out to my sister, Sister Shireen, who brought aspects of parenting up at a lecture we did recently, to Educate, Empower, Excel, Each One Teach One, Umar Abdullah Johnson, myself, Chico Okur. And Sister Shireen talked about parenting. And parenting is the most, sometimes it's a thankless job, but it's the most important job that all of us have if we're parents. I had to be parents to other children that are not mine, and I'm not dealing with their mom. I don't know, Zaza, did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Because I don't think a lot of people did. Here I am in a situation where I've been blessed to have a certain degree of knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And here I am trying to share it with brothers and sisters with children. In most cases with sisters who have no man. All right, this is a very, very difficult task. All right, because I have to be careful about my thoughts, my words, especially my words, my deeds, and my actions at all times, because I'm responsible. All right? Anyway, we're going to open up the phone lines at the 9 o'clock hour, but there's a few questions I want to read, and maybe we can kind of set the tone with these particular questions. The first question that we need to answer is, what is a parent in the context of the black family? Who and what qualifies us to be parents? What are some of the things that parents must know in order to be parents? How many children should we have? Is Dr. Frances Cress Wilson correct when she says no more than 2 and keep them spaced apart, 2 to 4 years apart? I know I got a friend who had children back to back. And I sat with her, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, and it's a hard job. The next question is, should we be emotionally prepared and stable and mature to have children? And then at what age? What age should we start having children? And then what's the cutoff? 3 children, 5 children? My mom had 13 children. All right? Is the TV and social media the new babysitters? All right, so what does it take to be a parent? Can I successfully be a parent to someone else's child, even if I've never met the father? Is this possible? All right. All of these questions and more, we're going to kind of dive into this. I have you call. I'll call in number 347-633-9644 at the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to tackle some of those questions. Anything in your spirit, sister, before we go to this break?
Well, one thing, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson also said that our women and men should wait, the men 35 years old and the sisters 33 years old to have children because of all of the different emotional and mental ailments that we have to get through as black people trying to, become mature, grown adults. She said that we should wait until those ages. And another thing I just want to say is, brothers, it's so important that you do all of the things that don't necessarily constitute fatherhood. We talk about protecting and providing and making sure there's food on the table and roof over your head, but children need love. They need affection. They need hugs. They need, to be silly. They need to be able to play. They need to roll around in the grass with you. They just need those intimate, special moments from a man, not just from a woman, so that they're not looking for, emotional and physical stimulation from a man in the wrong way later on down the line. And that's a subject that we really, really, really need to talk about. We don't really have enough time on this show, but the lack of male attentiveness and being present, mentally and emotionally in a child's life. And how does that affect our men not being there? How does that affect this new generation of our boys that are growing up to be homosexuals? When I spoke this weekend, I brought up the fact that according to FBI statistics, it says that 1 in 6 boys are victims of sexual abuse. 1 in 3 girls are victims of sexual abuse. And in Wally Mubarudi's book, The Effeminization of the African Male, he talks about how majority, I think it was like 85% of molesters, boys and girls who are molested, turn out to be molesters. And we don't even talk about the fact that a lot of young boys are being molested by females, and it's turning on their sexual drive at a really, really young age. So I say all that to say that it is extremely important for us to not only watch our children's surroundings and who they're around, but to give them that affection and that nurturing that they're supposed to have when they're young, so that they have righteous affection, opposed to seeking out affection in the world from all the wrong places. And I just wanted to say that you touched on a lot of things that really, really brought up a lot of thoughts. But we're going to go ahead and play this clip, and then when we come back on the other end, we can continue building. Is that cool?
Let me just say one last thing. You mentioned, men being, their sexuality being activated and turned on at a young age. And as I told you the story when you and I used to dialogue, I told you that story, which I've told, only to a handful of people, that the one time an older woman, tried that with me, I don't know, it turned something on, and I ended up getting snatched up, police called on me, and a whole bunch of other stuff, because I kind of took that as a violation. You understand? I'm 12, 13 years old. I don't know nothing about that. This woman is, 38, 40 years old? And I'm like, I don't know what, I know it's a violation. It didn't feel right. You understand what I'm saying? And some men will be like, oh, yeah, I'm down because, they having sex at 12 or 13. Well, hell, I wasn't. And I didn't know what that was. So I guess it activated something in me, and she got the baseball bat. You understand what I'm saying? So by the time my mom and my brothers heard it, they was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, that's the question you should be asking her. You understand what I'm saying? So then you would think that maybe you going to grow up and be a woman beater or whatever. No. Not at all. I felt I was violated, and I handled it the only way I knew how. I wasn't articulate to the point where I could have articulated what was going on to me to my mom, who's working 3 jobs, and let her know that this older woman kind of tried something with me and whatever. I didn't know what that was about. I reached for the thing I knew. I won't say best, but I knew how to deal with it in that particular way. And sometimes when I think about it now, I said, okay, well, I could have handled that in a better way. Did she get some broken bones and some other stuff? Probably did. I wasn't really concerned about that. I truly wasn't at all. I feel a certain kind of way about it now. But anyway, we're going to play this clip, and we're going to dive into some of these questions that we posed and raised so we can open up the phone lines at the 9 o'clock hour. Everybody sit.
I have quite a bit of Indian. Let me be anything but black. And they come in obviously black, at least enough black that you can visually see it. And they say to the white person, no, I'm not black. This is a white therapist. They're going to say to the white therapist, I I'm not black.